Tell me if this sounds like you. Your days and weeks as a homemaker feel chaotic, crazy, and disastrous. You lack motivation because it feels like you are working tirelessly and nothing seems to get done. You're running in circles, putting one fire out after another. This was me a few years into my homemaking journey. And if I'm going to be completely transparent with you, it still gets that way at times. But when I get back on track with these simple tips, it completely changes my homemaking routine. The thing that really transformed my homemaking routine was to prioritize what had to be done. Things like meals and dishes. When I started just focusing on those two things and didn't worry about the rest of it at the beginning, I suddenly didn't feel the weight of all the things that have to get done. Because I realized they didn't all have to get done right now. But I didn't stop there. Once I narrowed down my to-do list and I was feeling more accomplished, I realized I needed to add in the other things too. But I didn't want to get overwhelmed right off the bat, especially since I just took that huge weight off my shoulders. I came up with a schedule that was routine-based, not a slave to the clock. The world runs as slaves to the clock, and some things really do need to be done that way. But I found out that for my home, it just stressed me out when anything took longer than the allotted time, and then I couldn't get to the next thing on time. Anybody else feel that way? When I realized my homemaking schedule didn't have to be that way, it was mind-blowing to me. Your home is supposed to be a peaceful space for you and your family. You are the one who sets the tone for the whole family, like I talk about in my Art of Homemaking video that I will link in the description below. So if you haven't watched that yet, you can go watch that next. So how do I practically put this into practice, Donna? Like, I need a step-by-step. Tell me how to do this in my home so I cannot be so overwhelmed, stressed, and can get it, quote, all done, like you said. I've got you, Mama. Grab your notebook and a pen so you can start implementing this right now, as in today. First, you need a planner and a notebook. I prefer pen and paper, but if you thrive on the calendar on your phone, note, and apps for to-do lists, then go for it. Take an hour from your early morning, afternoon, or evening to sit down and plan your successful get it all done routine. Before kids wake up, during nap time, or after the kids go to bed is best so you can focus and not be interrupted. The first thing I want you to write down in your planner are the things that happen every day or weekly. These are the things I call sun up things because they always happen like the sun always comes up every morning. These things are meals, your husband's work schedule, school time, and so on. You can also add in seasonal things like sports or anything already scheduled like the family camping trip. You start with these things because they don't move. Now, a note to make this as much routine-based scheduling as you can is to have your meal time about the same time every day. But they don't have to be strictly the same time. You may not be able to do this if you are getting your husband's breakfast made and maybe lunch too on his workday mornings. But lunch for you and the kids could be around noon-ish. Dinner can be around 5:36-ish. See how I made that not so rigid? Another situation, maybe your husband works from home and manages his own schedule, not a boss or employer. Your schedule could look a little like this. You get up about 6 for your quiet time. Then get your kids up about 7 to go feed the animals, and you start working on breakfast. Breakfast is ready, and all kids have finished their chores by about 8. So you all sit down for breakfast as a family. This is basically how our mornings go, or at least that's the general goal. I don't sweat it if we are a little late, unless there is somewhere we need to be, like 9 a.m. for church on Sunday mornings, or maybe we have a doctor's appointment on a weekday. Then we generally have lunch around 1-ish, and then dinner around 6-ish. Now you will pick just 1 or 2 things that have to get cleaned daily. Dishes would have to get done, and depending on what stage you are in, probably laundry. So pick no more than 2 things at most. Remember, you are already making 3 meals a day, so now you will just stick to this schedule for about 2 weeks. If you feel a ton of relief after a week, then you're ready to go to the next step. But if you're still feeling a little stressed, give it another week. Once you are feeling like you've got this schedule under control, like you're killing it, then it's time to add something. Make a list of all the things. Put them under one of these categories: daily, weekly, monthly, and yearly. Your daily list shouldn't get much longer than it currently is, if at all. You should be adding most of these things on your list to the other 3 categories. Things like vacuuming can be under weekly or monthly, depending on how much traffic your house has. Sweeping can be daily, like spot sweeping under the dining room table, or if you don't need that much, put it under weekly. Things like cleaning bathrooms would be weekly. Cleaning out the fridge would be weekly or maybe monthly. Cleaning out the freezer can be yearly. Spring cleaning projects would be yearly. This would include washing walls and doors, the tops of the fridge, and under the stove. I'm not going to name everything here. You get the idea. Once you have your lists done, then start working them into your schedule based on their frequency. Keep in mind, if something else has to get done, or an event or doctor's appointment comes up that doesn't allow you to get your scheduled things done, don't give up on doing it. Just move it to the next opening. If you want a relaxed life, then space these things out so you don't feel like you're running a rat race. It is your home, not the big city. Now that you have your to-do list started, you can add a project list. These are things that aren't happening again. They are a one and done. Things like patching the holes in the wall behind the stove when your husband removed the built-in microwave. Or you want to paint an accent wall. These things you'll need to work into your schedule, but don't happen on a reoccurring basis. It is important that you keep up with tracking what you are doing and make adjustments as you need to. If something needs done more often or less often, adjust them. Your schedule is not a rigid thing, unless that helps you stick to it. If you can still get things done while adapting to changes, the more at peace you will be with your homemaking, and you will find the routine that works best for you. Once I started implementing these things into my routine, after I took a serious step back, I felt so much more free. It helped so much to see things laid out on my calendar in a well thought out plan of attack, if you will. I could control how much to space things out if I just couldn't get it all done in one day. I allowed myself grace. It also allowed me to spend more time with my kids, as I'm more of a Martha in personality. And by focusing on planning out a rough routine that made room for family time and even one-on-one time with my kids, that's when I found myself being closer to a Mary, fully fulfilling my calling as a homemaker and mother. Now, I do have days or weeks that everything seems to completely fall apart. Something comes up, or it's just plain forgetfulness on my part, since this is a new habit I'm implementing, and it takes determination to keep at it or to get back to it. This will happen to you at some point, so take courage that you will persevere through this, and you will find that happiness in a routine that actually works. If you've made it this far in the video, click that like button to help YouTube get this video to other homemakers who are looking for a routine that works. And if you love all things homemaking and gardening, please consider subscribing. I put out something new every week. Hope this was helpful and encouraging. That's all for today. We'll see you guys on the next one. Bye-bye.